Hello, welcome back, SMITE Game. We have more North American Swiss stage here for you. Malum Trelli, that equals Anthony Squared to bring you more of the Swiss stage. It's Employment LARPers and Garf's Goblins, which is a matchup of people who know a heck of a lot about each other, but some names you might not be familiar with. So we get to explore around a little bit today with some SMITE 2 esports. And speaking of SMITE 2, make sure you drop exclamation point access in Twitch chat right now so you can start playing SMITE 2. You'll see some links pop up, some Gleam links. Click on those, enter the secret code and the platform of your choice, and you can start playing on the Battleground today with the base edition of the game. Trelli, Employment LARPers versus Garf's Goblins. First of all, the team names, right?
Yeah, there are definitely some names of all time, but I also saw some friendly trash talk in the Smite game chat before the game, which also makes me happy. Like I like to see some
Oh, yeah.
friendly rivalry. You know, it's all in good fun. So definitely should be an exciting one. Not to mention, like SK Peso kind of teamed with a few of these guys. He's on Employment LARPers on Garf's Goblins in the Smite Content Creator Cup. So maybe some beef that we can exploit should be fun.
Oh yeah. See, if you want lore for these teams, this is the moment for it for me. I have been casting most of these 10 players for too long. I've seen them do amateur grand finals. I mean, essentially, these two teams meeting in Founder Series today on the road to Vegas, they would have met a couple of weeks ago in the Olympus Smite League, an amateur Smite League for Smite 1. The lore goes deep. There is bad blood. I mean, SK Peso, I was talking to him before the game. Unfortunate for me, I know.
Oh,
I
that's
survived,
lucky.
thankfully. Yeah, thanks for feeling bad. I was talking to SK Peso before the game, and he told me they're 5-man invading level 1 looking for Sunprod, and that he's going to put Sunprod in the dirt. So, like, we're coming in real hot for this game. I know, the fun, exciting drama might be more of a Sunday action, but we've got some today, too.
Yeah, not only do I think they're not going to find Sunprod, I think it's going to be
Nope.
a waste of time. Just about everyone is at least a little bit aware of the invade strats at this point in our Smite 2 competitive scene. But hey, there's always a chance you catch someone off guard. And honestly, you kind of have to draft for us here. There's not too many gods that come out at level 1 and are just ready to fight. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
some
100%.
characters at level 2, they look real solid. Level 3, but level 1, only a handful of characters that are able to get caught out like that. So hopefully we see some early action, but I'm down to wait until buff spawn. Like I'm down
Yeah.
to wait just a little bit for the fighting.
Like where is it actually going to go down? Kind of going to the other side of the battleground, looking at the side of Garf's Goblins as we head into picks and bans, see what might get picked up. I also talked to Sunprod, who great performances, kind of a player to watch in my brain, a demon on the sticks as well for this matchup. Sunprod said, well, it feels more like a chill game. Like I'm against the homies in an amateur league. Everyone's feeling a little more comfortable because of it going into this matchup. And Sunprod just said, like, as long as I don't lose to SK Peso, I feel like I had a good day. So,
I mean, that is a good day, first of all. But I think at the end of the day, you got to treat it like what it is. I mean, it's a Swiss matchup. You're trying to get as much seeding as you can. You want to get those 3 wins so you get on out of here. And you got to take this as seriously as possible. Odin, Fenrir are going to be the bands, but Garf's Goblins go for that first pick, Jing Wei. My money, LARPers. I mean, Ymir comes to mind. Hecate still top of the line pick. If you want to try and grab that one. But the god that goes unbanned, of course, is going to be that Bacchus. Jing Wei has a decent matchup into it, but everyone else is going to feel the wrath and the damage of that tanky boy right there. Mostly in solo lane, but Bacchus still does have the ability to be played in support, no problem. Just a menace throughout. And then, of course, Hecate is going to be that number 2.
can you tell these guys were watching earlier today?
I mean, yeah, they got the tech.
They're like, Jingwei, Bacchus, check. Hecate, don't forget. Oh, we gotta check the Fenrir box as well. The Jingwei I'm excited about, though. I'm really curious how the dual lane's gonna shape up. The on her threw a wrench in things that I kind of wish we could see explored more. You kept making this point about how on her needed to hit that mid-game point and really excel from there. I feel like that's still possible. And when I look at the ADCs we've got, Drunk Diplomat versus Brendar, I feel like they're both two ADCs who I recognize them as being consistent, but on this stage, they're still trying to figure out who they are, and that's where a pick like Jingwei I'm saying, all right, late game, drunk diplomat, I'm staring at you. Are those crits finding a home?
I just think that Jingwei is kind of easy mode, you know, like it's kind of training wheels. You just get bigger auto attacks, they hit harder, you have so much safety, you have so much mobility. So kind of the same thing, you're going to get enhanced auto attacks, you have CC immunity, you have a ton of safety as well, but throw a Mordred into the mix. The LARPers here, they have quite a team fight. Hecate, Bacchus, Mordred. I'm liking what I see. What did Garf's Goblins draft to try and contest that? Cuckoo, which, I mean, again, I'm surprised we haven't seen more Neath, man. It seems like Cuckoo has just completely taken over in the mid lane.
It feels like Cuckoo has just sort of risen from options, for sure. I mean, it seems like it's a Hecate Cuckoo flip-flop, but there's still a lot out there. I miss the Neath in mid, kind of like you. I feel like the explosion damage that she was doing was fun to watch, and I'm still kind of waiting to see who's going to be the first one to look at Zeus. I know you and I have had plenty of discussions so far in the previous weeks about how Zeus is doing better than people are giving him credit for in that more traditional magic damage dealer burst type of build, and a little bit less on the ADC side. Well, we've got ourselves a Chalk and a Hades to round things out, so we've got a good look at our compositions. The Hades a bit more unseen today as well.
Yeah, for me, I was kind of hoping to see the Bacchus go towards that solo role, but it looks like with the continuation of that draft, we'd probably just throw Bacchus over towards support. Then you deal with the Mordred and the Hades respectively. But a lot of team fight presence, a lot of early damage. I do think that Hades from ahead can be ridiculous, but if he falls behind even a little bit, his damage just seems laughable, and it's pretty easy to just avoid, get away from his ult, things like that. So you're gonna have to play pretty consistently, steal away farm, look to invade, things like that to make sure the Hades is looking clean. But the Chalk is another pickup that was very popular last week, still gets a decent bit of play, but has fallen by the wayside a bit. We'll have to see how the Chalk's able to continue up with this pressure that everyone else has been drafting against, because we talk about level 1 kill potential. Chalk's got like none of that.
No, Chalk just kind of is there. He's like the cheerleader for the early invade of, hey, I'm kind of around too. I'm here too. But could still do good. We've seen plenty of damage from the Chalk for sure, but we'll have to see how it all develops. Will there be an invade? How bad is the blood? Let's get into game number 1 between Garf's Goblins and Employment LARPers and find out. Malum, Trelly, and Doug on the call for what is sure to be a SMITE 2 game of all time. And will there be names made? That's the kind of the thing I'm looking for. Are you going to leave here are you going to show up not knowing these names on paper and leave saying, buy me the Sunprod stock?
Well, are they going for the run past the teleporter strat, or are they teleporting? Looks to me like they're teleporting. And if they do teleport, no, they're not. Okay, they're running fast. All right, so they are looking for Sun, but Sunprod is already here. He's already aware. He's gonna.
The information was good.
He should spot this out. Not to mention, I believe, yeah, he's got beads. Okay. Oh, here they come. Okay,
here they go. They're looking for Sunprod, gets the dash away, and they'll have to step back.
I mean,
at least my information's good.
Bro, they even have 3 Sunders on the side of Employment LARPers. I hate 3 Sunder. I like 2 Sunder.
Yeah, we had that discussion last weekend a lot.
I just don't like it. Listen, if Codester just doesn't die all game and pops off, and I'll eat my words, but I have a feeling that they'll be able to catch out Codester and Minx. I almost said his name. I said I would never say his name.
You caught it. Yeah, good job catching it. I'll keep my eyes on
it. Because they don't have that survivability relic.
SK Peso still running past Kill Cam Kenny. He really wants the invade here onto the speed. Will not get it in time, though.
Going for the clear, smart play. We're not seeing that immediate level 5 or level 1 5-man scrap. There's an attempted, but of course, always vigilant, always looking out for it. However, you got to think about what is Codester going to be like when you find out that your red buff's gone, because Sunprod's heading over here. They don't go to, they want to try and contest that mid buff. There might be some kill potential here, but it looks like a little bit too little too late. And of course, Codester doesn't want to stick around. Sitting at level 1. Scary stuff. Try and fight. We might have a first blood here if you can find some more damage, but everyone's just still level 1 over in duo. They can't find a kill.
The Phantom Shell came out to keep SK Peso extra safe. The fight went over that gold camp. They give pretty significant gold, so massive, but no experience to help you grab that level 2 if you're Garf's Goblins, and we can see that LARPers did get there first. but still a slow tick over. It is important, and you catching it was great even for me because there was so much chaos on the left side. Codester taking so much of that right jungle has set up an early gank for Codester that I feel like looks a little better than Sunprod, especially if he can clear out that jungle first. We'll see how it goes down at this mid buff, however.
Sunprod just standing there menacingly is going to be in a little bit of trouble. Good call to use that movement to get away. Level 3 to level 2 doesn't sound like that much, but that's a whole nother ability that you have to contend with, which Sunprod just does not have the pull. Probably smart to hover around that buff and leave. Wouldn't be a bad call to try and find some damage onto Bacon in the mid lane. Aegis is the pickup, so, you know, probably pull that down. It looks like that's exactly what happened. Aegis down. Doesn't even matter. Des confirms it. And that's the first blood. Dude, even through Aegis, that is tough.
Dest was one of the players who I felt like could be, it's a well-known name around the Smite community, but in this particular matchup of some big personalities, big people in the comms, a lot of ranked grinders, could fall to the wayside. And Dest making sure that's not the case with a really clean early first blood. Cuckoo, I know it was a really strong pick for Dest as well, so once that gets on board, really keep your eyes on Dest and how he may perform.
All right, with that first blood, you got a good start, right? You should be stacking up that Book of Thought as early as possible now with some extra gold in pocket. Not to mention, man, that Spirit of the Nine wins. Once you have access to it, which coincidentally level 5 just comes around, you have a good peel tool if you're getting dove by Mordred. You have a good damage tool to try and follow up with that Pursue of the Week. Oh, good. Oh, is the play. Do they have it? Ooh.
A little bit off the mark there. A little wide left.
I mean, that's a death diff because Sun did his job. He tanked up. He got the pull. You gotta. Yeah, that's a play that you have to insta-pull. You have to trust your jungler wholeheartedly and throw it before the pull even comes through. Unfortunate, but hey, I love the attempt, right? That shows that Bacon is gonna have to be watching his back for the rest of the game, essentially.
A split invade. Codester very aggressive in the right side. You can see Sunprod on that left. No real fights from it, just securing away farm from the other side, which has been a consistent theme throughout this early game, but a real deep dive from SK Peso. Still only level 3 on that Bacchus. Gets pulled in, has a jump away. Sunprod could follow, does not. So SK Peso should be okay for the moment. And some chaos on the right side, but Garfield not going to over-aggress for the blue buff quite yet.
Why is his name Lord Garfield? I mean, I respect it. And these are, yeah, that's something. With that being said, though, pressure over in right lane. Chalk versus Hades. It should be going towards Hades as far as I'm concerned. You've got good clear. You have good sustain. Chalk needs some itemization before you're really able to clear that wave effectively. So might be a bit before we see any sort of action coming from the solo laners. But Malum, we had a set just a bit ago. You may have remembered there was a lot of teleporting over towards left. There was a lot of the solo laners getting active towards that Gold Fury immediately. I think both Hades and Chalk have that ability. They can teleport over. They've got decent enough clear where you can just chuck an ability and then book it towards the teleporter. So I'm gonna keep my eyes on the solo lane, or at least towards the Gold Fury, because maybe it's just that one-man difference, but that could be everything when it comes to an early gold pull.
Warhorn will go to the employment LARPers, so we know which comms are happier. Watching for those rotations is a good call. Alfie was really impactful on that Mordred. Everybody had to respect it. But no rotations, but presence first at the Gold Fury from employment LARPers. They probably could have pulled there. They had 4 members by it, but just chose not to, instead looking for the pick onto kill Cam Kenny. A lot of damage on, nothing that kill Cam Kenny can do to get away from that. And SK Peso will get the overall credit. Also, an ult flew through from Dest and broke some windows on the way out.
Yeah, I'm thinking that Dazzling Offensive could have been used a lot earlier just to make sure you get out of trouble, but did not come through. Remember, there is a possibility towards the Gold Fury. Not going to happen. I saw a bit of a rotation, but actually Drunk Diplomat stepping forward, trying to get aggressive here. Wants a 1v1 if possible, but notice this, hey, SK Peso could be the easier target.
2-man knockup. There's the Intoxicate. Mordred through the wall. Will not find Sunprod, and a Typhoon for added safety. So Garf's Goblins with a very successful disengage from the employment LARPers, but they say, okay, what can we grab? Is there anything? And the answer appears to be no on the Gold Fury. Everybody got a little bit too low. So still this bit of a stalemate, slow back and forth, where opportunities are certainly showing, but nobody can fully take advantage of them quite yet.
I mean, not a bad look by Coaster, though. It actually pulls the beads off of Sun Prod there, so definitely a win. I mean, cooldown list, pursue the weak for the beads. Sun Prod's going to be a lot less safe in the next 2 minutes or so. Could be an opportunity to try and go in for an objective. I'm so used to seeing gold pulled like well before 10 minutes. It always surprises me when no one's made a pass at it, especially when the employment LARPers have 3 Sunders, man. Like they could walk up and essentially half health it immediately if they wanted to. So something I'm going to continue to keep my eye on. But for now, just farming up the left side of the map, and junglers both over at back camps on right. So not going to see any aggression for the time being. Remember, Death was able to grab that first. Blood has been using it quite well. 1 level lead in mid lane, and 6 stacks extra. Not a bad look so far. Trying to, you know, keep that book of off online as early as possible. Just meshes so well with Cuckoo's passive here. Might do.
Sunprod picking a fight with Codester in the jungle. Will step away. Sunprod's rocking the the Avenging Blade. Went for the old name for it. The Avenging Blade does a lot in jungle fights. It causes that slow, but not a very popular item among former Smite 1 pros. I'm curious how you feel about it, Trelly.
I think that it depends on your jungle style. I don't love it on characters that don't love getting in with your auto attacks, but like Fenrir uses it so well. Odin jungle uses it so well. Susano, of course, is already trying to bake in auto attacks, so it works quite well. It just seems like the new hotness. I'm not sure if it's like the best first item slot, but I think if you're playing around it and trying to use it like a pseudo Frostbound Hammer to just like find picks in the jungle, you can certainly make use of it, and that's the reason that just about everyone is picking this item up. I do think it's gonna be that flavor of the month, and then maybe people will think like, oh, I want to go back to Tekko Kagi or something like that. But for now, no one's got a problem picking this item up.
Again, a lot of dancing around the jungle. SK Peso has been trying to be a nuisance kind of towards the back line of Garf's Goblins in the dual lane, which constantly is answered, but it doesn't amount to much. We're coming up on that 10-minute mark where Trelly was talking about. Will we see the Gold Fury get pulled? We rarely have seen it go untouched to this point, but that feels like the vibe so far, which is just, I don't know, it makes this entire game feel a little bit different, a little bit kind of off kilter of what we're accustomed to now.
I also love the way that Death decided to build. I don't think there's any dive potential under this tier 1, so I'm gonna ignore that. At least an attempt at Brendar's life. But the not Polynomicon second item, I really appreciate this Gem of Focus, which is arguably one of the best like stat efficient items in the game. Using that damage to try and go for Gold Fury, but definitely a smart call to let this one drop. There is just too many Sunders that are on the way. Hades also left solo lane and is on the way as well. This could be the LARPers going in for a pull, and they certainly are.
You've been looking for this. Put those Sunders to use. Can they do it? SK Peso notably low. They're going to back up off the Gold Fury from the dazzling offensive of Killcam Kenny. A pull-in from Sunprod. The Hades with the instant ult. It does real well to help out the LARPers. A trade 1-for-1 so far. The Gold Fury goes to the employment LARPers. So of another strange engage, the LARPers pull through on the better end of it.
Yeah, Killcam Kenny unfortunately got stuck in the Hades ult, but Lord Garfield sieging forward. Can you find a kill anywhere? Codester seems to be the first target. That will certainly go down. Lord Garfield gets the credit, but Sunprod needs that as a fancy juke to get out of this one, and he will not take it. Cleans up that one, and the LARPers are able to get just about everything in that fight. Still fall behind in gold, just by nature of better farm across the board, mostly for Dest. In fact, I think it's pretty much only on Dest and Drunk Diplomat they have the leads, whereas Sunprod's actually 2, almost 3 levels behind.
Sunprod and SK Peso, you mentioned this in Picks and Bans. They've teamed together a lot, most recently and for the majority of a viewing audience in the Content Creator Cup. They've got very similar playstyles of being more journeymen around the map and grabbing farm where they can, but prioritizing setting up with their team and trying to make plays happen. Sometimes, as we're seeing, it can kind of bite them both and put them both significantly further behind than their equivalent on the other side. So one of the things that I've been looking for personally, Trelly, from Sunprod, and growing that experience and becoming that player to watch that I feel like he might one day, is the farm game.
Yeah, and I think that SK Peso is rooting on his downfall. Like he has taken a few of those speed buffs, and that's partly the reason out of the Susano hasn't been getting too active. In fact, stealing a wave in mid, not a bad look, but something that might just need to be done. I do think that Dest is taking a ton of his back camps, which I'm gonna be honest, as a mid laner, I'm guilty of sometimes, but when my jungle's down, I'm not touching those back camps, man. Those belong to the jungle, and it really, I mean, it's a double-weighted coin where, yes, you're getting your Cuckoo massive 5 levels ahead, but Sunprod is level 8 at 12 minutes. I'd prefer a fed Susano, if I'm honest.
Got to find some way to funnel that farm through, and Codester maybe looking to take advantage of being ahead on that Mordred. Codester, you know, I talked about sort of the passive play and looking for opportunities from SK Peso and Sunprod. Codester is somebody I'm super familiar with, forcing the issue at any opportunity possible and just always looking to fight. A lot of characters in Smite 1 of just, I'm going to dive you. No matter what happens, I'm diving you and we're fighting. And this is happening. Mordred fits that perfect, and maybe it'll be put to use. SK Peso has an ult committed on top. Hecate around the corner. Will he go down here? It's going to be a close call. Maybe he will.
No follow-up there. Killcam Kenny was the only one who could really chase down, and because of that, retreat has been fouled. Probably because the Pursue the Weak was heard. Such a loud ability lets everyone know the Mordred is on the way, and that's usually a good call just to back up. Once again, Drunk Diplomat wants to dash in, but Soul just has tremendous safety in lane, man. You can tell this Jingwei wants to scrap and is just not giving the opportunity to, because, you know, not enough CC, not enough lockdown to make sure that Soul doesn't have to just sit under tower. She's fine in farm. Her buffs aren't being contested. I mean, Brendar's doing the correct call. Hey, you can double stack me all you want. I'm getting solo farm, baby, and I'm not dying.
We saw Zapman do that on Soul last weekend as well, and just kind of showed up in a fight level 20 out of nowhere and killed everybody on that Soul. So pretty important to look out for. Also, Dest, been level 14 for a hot minute. I'm expecting will turn to level 15 here soon. So farming super, super well on that Cuckoo, on top of going, as you mentioned, a build that kind of benefits from being able to just farm safely and not be bothered by the likes of a Mordred.
Well, Sunprod actually just got all of his backs and is now only a level down. That's big. That's a good start in the right direction, because again, Codester was just having that lead. Going a more tanky style build in the jungle. Still, no chance to dive. Here comes Mordred. I don't imagine much comes from this either, unless Kenny doesn't have the ultimate, decides against it. But Lord Garfield teleporting over. Could this be a Gold Fury call here for Garf's Goblins? Seems like they want to attempt something.
Surely Lord Garfield commands the Goblins for a clean play here. Hopefully so. There is an answer, but not yet from the Hades. The Mordred nearby, Hecate as well. Hades just now heading over to that teleporter, so will be late for the Gold Fury that the Garf Goblins have already pulled. Spirit of the Nine Winds will help confirm it and kill Cam Kenny with it. Gold Fury for the blue side, and the fight looking good too. SK Peso will go down. An airstrike comes out from Drunk Diplomat, won't go aggressive. White side of the fight to kill Cam Kenny. Handles Codester, and Hades never even got there to watch his teammates go down or the Gold Fury be taken away.
And they are hightailing it to right lane. I mean, are you sitting here waiting for Pyro? Okay, that is the call. I was going to say, like,
your senses were tingling.
I just thought, like, there's no way they go for fire here. And I was right. I was going to grab the Pyromancer. It was just, they went with so much aggression that I was like, there's no way, right? They're not going to attempt to pull FG. And they don't. Hard call. Grab the Runic Bomb, give that one over to kill Cam Kenny, and continue the farm train. Level 15 for Dest, definitely still a force to be reckoned with, but has mostly just been using that damage on structures. Been a part of 4 of the kill zone. Nice kiss for the mid laner, and we continue trying to get that fast track to late game. When you get Jingwei, when you get Cuckoo, you're never upset about the game pace slowing down a bit, right? Just trying to stall out and make sure your carries get level 20 is much more important than anything else. One thing I do notice though, considering the Jingwei builds we've seen, the Executioner into Demon Blade. Drunk Diplomat's options here. Wants some extra pen, wants some extra crit chance. I wonder if he goes like the Hasten Fatalis route or if he just goes for more crit. Either one is viable, but I usually love getting Hasten just because easy to run down some kills, and you also have some good juking movement speed so you don't get hit by as much.
I think we saw Streak Up do that on Jingwei for EMEA, and it was really impressive, and he was able to run down team fights with the help of genetics. So keep your eyes for it for sure. More posturing. Gold Fury not close to spawning, but we're learning that these two teams like to fight for position and farm, and they look for picks on a kill cam Kenny, but the rundown from Codester won't be quick enough. Does force a dazzling offensive, which could be big if this fight brews. That the LARPers are still at least postured aggressively enough that could happen.
Go Cam Kenny, Drunk Diplomat trying to save the purple buff. They will. Is Codester in any trouble? No, in fact, it's full HP. If anything, Drunk Diplomat has to airstrike out. Sun Prod's nearby, but it doesn't look like a fight will be what they are after. Again, with a team like this, you're okay with a stall. You're okay with the double down. You just want level 20. And that's going to look real solid, but pay attention to Garfield, the Lord himself, trying to go for a rotation. Maybe Garf's Goblins do want to fight.
Will the call be to follow me once again? Follow the leader for the Goblins. Sunprod's here, did gain a level on Codester as well, which could be massive damage-wise. There's the focus on the Codester. The damage is real good. Codester will see the world black and white. How many teammates will follow? A Disapparate for Brendar, the Supernova too, but they've got an answer. Garf's Goblins have got your head as well. No more soul. 2 more members have joined the fray. Sunprod pulled them both, will beads out. They open the gates and get away. LARPers with no answer. They will lose their tier 1 in the duo lane. No Hades in this fight, notably as well.
Yeah, I think if you're Hades, getting farm on the right side of the map is probably the only thing you can do. Rotating over a little bit too little, too late. Tier 2 is the target. Sunprod goes forward, but not enough damage to take down SK Peso. And the tier 2 will drop even more gold in the pockets of Garf's Goblins. I think this is correct. Just take as much farm as you can, reset. We might be looking towards Fire Giant here shortly, but again, Gold Fury will be spawning in one more time before then. And Garf's Goblins with the lead they've got granted should be able to pull it no problem. Go ahead and grab the Queen buff beforehand. Just help with some extra damage, extra minions to tank if you don't want to worry about your HP. All good things. You know what we haven't seen, Malum? We have not seen a team. This was very common in Smite 1, like bread and butter. We have not seen a team just pull Fire Giant when Gold Fury is being done. You know what I'm saying? Like if the LARPers just waited for this gold and then just bum rush the Fire Giant, drop 3 Sunders and stole it. No one's doing that right now. Maybe it's because, you know, the meta hasn't quite formed, but the LARPers are going for Gold Fury. And while the second Gold Fury of the game is important, I think Fire Giant or Ancient Fury is really where you need to draw a line in the sand. So I think it would have been a nice call just to go for fire immediately. Not going to be the case. The LARPers are all here. They still feel confident in a team fight, but they're not going to be the ones to start it. They're going to wait to see if Garf's Goblins get aggressive first.
Especially while it isn't Ancient Fury. It could be even more beneficial.
Yep.
Garf's Goblins might have an opening. The opening is the Amaterasu. Is the stun going to land? It does, but Hekate has an answer. Sends Kill Cam Kenny far away, and now Codester catches up too. Meanwhile, Mink has fallen. Kill Cam Kenny's still wasting time. The LARPers will find themselves on the right side of the map from chasing the Amaterasu as their soul is being run down in the left, and the Gold Fury is actively being done by Garf's Goblins. Can they get there in time? They do. They force away. The Goblins of the LARPers will save it for the time being, and they still have the Sunders, Trelly.
They sure do, and that's what the call is. Garfield, nowhere to be seen. The Fury should be going the way of the LARPers, and it does. Codester confirms that one off of a fight that they should definitely not have won, right? You trade support for solo, and Hades was the most farmed on the side of the LARPers, but that's the benefit of having so many Sunders on your side. Kill Cam Kenny, he was the only one with a Sunder available, so he couldn't contest. So the LARPers made the correct call. Sure, sneaking fire would have been nice, but taking gold away from Garf's Goblins helps bring that gold lead even closer. You got to look towards tank stats. You got to look towards power spikes. Death still on his way to level 20, has the Soul Reaver working towards even more damage. Drunk Diplomat wants to get a little bit of penetration online as well, but it looks like Pyromancer started up. Kill Cam Kenny will tank, but SK Payson knows this is going on. He's close by.
21 minutes, and the LARPers have 3,500 gold to make up, so they've got to find it somewhere. The 8-4 kill tally does not represent the amount of fighting that we've seen, and it's been more of a level watch so far in this matchup, because the levels have been so relevant to every action around it. Maybe even here, a lot of grouping in the mid lane, but again, solo laners notably absent. We haven't seen Mink rotate to fights in a hot minute, Trelly.
I mean, he rotated once, died, said, I learned my lesson. I'm done with that. Man.
Later, guys.
No one tries to fight me in solo. I get to be level 20. It's nice, but...
The volume's going up on my documentary, guys.
Exactly. I mean, I'm just going to be sitting here. But with that being said, Dest is probably going to be the first one to level 20 just by nature of farm. And we talked about it a bit ago. Hasten Fatalis picked up for Drunk Diplomat. This Jingwei is going to be able to run you down. Codester, the only one left over and left, which means go in. If you're the Garf's Goblins, you want to fight here. There is no Mordred to worry about for at least 15 more seconds.
Sunpron runs into Hades. Tough fight for Sasano. Amaterasu and Chant pushed up. Everyone's spread in a weird way, but the LARPers do have more control, it feels like, at the moment, because they've got more of a pincer opportunity. Akate leaving does kind of slow that down. Des chases out. Codester can't find the slow, and we're kind of back to where we were just a few moments ago. It feels like nobody wants to take that first step towards doing something massive. Maybe here, the dash in. Mink in trouble. The ultimate comes out. Will the Pillar of Agony buy enough time? There's an airstrike. A Spirit of the Nine wins too. Everything is dropped for that Hades, it feels like. They do get the pick. I guess they were tired of waiting.
Yeah, and by the way, Mink could have popped old, dashed under the fire giant wall and then back again. I think that trying to fight wasn't the greatest call, and as you can see, even more damage coming through. Kill Cam Kenny in the backline, but Sunprod is the one who falls. It's the LARPers now, and they want to fight this.
Codester is really doing a lot of work to bring down Sunprod and look for more. A knock up onto the chalk to try to help the Soul get away. The Hekate will still go down. SK Peso could not protect them much longer. And a double kill for Mink. One for Drunk Diplomat on the way out. Codester's just gotta run. What a weird... Every fight's been weird, but the Garf's Goblins have just read every fight a little bit better at times, it feels like.
I don't like these fights, man. They're too weird.
I don't. I'm getting frustrated.
Kenny not there to help the DPS, just there to be annoying to Codester. It's only up to Hades, who would never get here in time, so that fire giant will be going the way of Garf's Goblins. Do they wait for Sunprod? Do they wait the 3 seconds to grab it for him? They absolutely do. Good team.
Nice.
Proud of him. In fact, okay, Kenny. The ultimate, and certainly does. That's effortless.
Got the Heelys.
And Codester has to ult away in shame, knowing that it was not there. Ancient Fury spawns in here any second, though, and that's something the Garf's Goblins definitely want to step up to. The gold lead is not so insurmountable that the employment LARPers can't step forward and try and contest, but considering that Hades is on the right side of the map. Oh, he's teleporting over. Okay, they might try it. He is on the way. Yeah, the LARPers are going to try and fight this. I love this call.
This Ancient Fury could be really massive, and the LARPers have done fairly well around objectives that they are more aware of as a team. If they get picked by one, that's where the trouble has been, and it seems like they're aware of that. Codester, who's been leading the way, is towards the back of the team's positioning right now. Mink will lead the way. Dash in, but he's taking a lot of poke trying to do it. The Pillar of Agony comes out, didn't find anybody, and Mink will go down for no gain for the employment LARPers. SK Peso jumped in next, had no backup, could get picked. The Garf's Goblin just walked past SK Peso, and they look for kills on the employment LARPers. All the damage finds the way of the LARPers, and they go down one by one. The cuckoo damage was too much. The pull is good. Codester might just be next following Bacon. That's going to be a deicide for Garf's Goblins.
Man, and Sunprod's backing. It looks like the end call is not what they're after. They're just going to go in for Ancient Fury and run it down mid, try and get the birds. Definitely a look, but that was a fight that was forced. Now, the LARPers did not have to fight. They could have waited for Fury to start up, but you saw Hades just W-keyed and said, I'm initiating. I'm going forward. Unfortunately, could not find the Pillar of Agony and just started going forward. Left side bird is the first point of insertion. They'll grab that. Easy peasy, but I think mid bird should still be something that Garf's Goblins are after. They have the damage, and they can definitely break this stage even more so, and they're going to do just that.
Hades forced away. Mid Phoenix now that target that Charlie was looking for, and will go down. Not much of an answer from the employment LARPers. They'll fall back to the Phoenix and solo. Thankfully for the LARPers, if you're rooting for them today, they've got a tier 1 still standing, so a lot of time is bought from that for sure. But in terms of the scoreboard, that's where the LARPers fans might want to look away at the moment. 17-5 at 26 minutes, and that gold lead is in uh-oh territory, to say the least.
Yeah, I think uh-oh is right. You get yourself another runic bomb. This one goes over to kill Cam Kenny. You got 2 birds down already. And the LARPers have a decision to make, Malum. Do they group up in the grass? Do they look for a fight outside of their base? Or do they try and just defend and turtle? I think trying to find a fight in a position like this is always a nice call, right? Like maybe you just sit back and you're confident in your play and you'll be able to defend underneath your Titan. But that is risky business considering you already have 2 waves of fire minions stepping forward and your Phoenixes are turned off. So I don't hate the idea of standing at the tier 2, hiding into the grass somewhere and looking for an engagement, but does not seem to be on the LARPers' mind just yet. If anything, Codes, they're Hades on the left side of the map, man. They're farming. They are not looking to fight. They want to get a last-minute power spike before they have to defend their Titan.
If we had to look at the hard analysis, the anatomy of those team fights for employment LARPers, is it just their engagements that's causing all of their problems?
I mean, there wasn't even an engagement. Truthfully, that was a fight that was just forced. That was an ultimate that was forced. I mean, I love the idea of going for and open the gates, but you need some CC, some setup first. That's a peso. He's already dead.
Already dead indeed. Goes to Dest. Look at all the damage coming out from Garf's Goblins. Spirit of the Nine wins out. Coaster with the only answer, but it only found Lord Garfield. Now Garfs are low, but still standing strong at that solo side Phoenix. Not stepping in quite yet, though, as the Phoenix now back online and shooting back.
Yeah, no Amanita Charms, no Mushrooms, no Sustain. Time to give this one up. 2 Phoenixes will be what Garf's Goblins are able to grab. 18-5. It doesn't really seem like 18-5. It seems a bit closer than that, but I mean, the LARPers have not been able to confirm too many kills, and that's the real issue. Drunk Diplomat, Dest, and Lord Garfield undying so far. And that's the thing. You don't just want to start a team fight off with an open the gates. It's a very telegraphed, easy to juke ability if you have some movement. Hades goes in for an ultimate as well, ends up hitting the mean end of a Spirit of the Nine wins. He has to retreat. I mean, SK Peso can't even really flop in at the moment. He's level 13.
Yeah, exactly. I noticed the same thing. Mink and SK Peso can't set up for Brendar or Bacon because by the time they've set up anything, they're either dead or dying. So there's no damage coming from the backline.
Yep, and that's the issue at hand. That's why Bacon feels he has to throw the ult down. Big ult with Lord Garfield. And he's full HP, taking up 3.
He said, come on, Goblins, we got a fight to win. Where you at? And now that damage comes through, finds a lot onto Mink, who does get the dash away. Sunprod on the hunt. Typhoon out, ready for damage. Doesn't do a lot, but the fight's still there. Persisting through. Dest will clean it up to help out their jungler. Garfield still running them down. Goblins, I said, come on! Now they catch up, find another, but Brendar's in the backline doing work, finds a double kill through it. But the last one standing for the employment LARPers through all of the nonsense is Codester. Kill Cam Kenny is just gonna mess with him. Garfield said, I'm done with game number 1. Let's move to game number 2, boys. I got it.
Bro was a raid boss in that fight. Ran and tanked up 3 carries for the entirety of it. Came out ahead. And of course, the fire minions were running down the Titan. Lord Garfield, man, formerly known as Super Death Fang. I don't like calling him Lord Garfield, but I will. There is one name in that team that I will accept. And if these are your goblins, you command them well, sir. Not a bad team fight at all. And that chalk was a force to be reckoned with.
I've gotten to see a lot of Super Death Thing, you know, even casting some collegiate championships for Super Death Thing. And let me tell you, that's the key to the SDF way, is saying, Goblins, let's go. I'm going to run down everybody. Whatever you do works for me. But if you follow me, we probably just win the game here. It's Kuzenbos in Smite 1, and in Smite 2, it was the Chalk, which we were both like, oh, how will the Chalk do? And SDF said, hold my axe. So with game number 2 around the corner, we'll be right back on Smite Game to see if Garf's Goblins can take it in 2.
another mistake. It's killing me to see that look on your face. I show some remorse, it's my fault, of course. Made a million wrong decisions, I'll probably make some more. But need to know what's the say around your cashing.也许我真的说了给你百听 But I swear that you're the only one that I see, yeah. 아름다운 머리부터 발끝까지, yeah. This time I'ma do it right. No doubt 네 수위이다, yeah. 내 맘을 알아줘, no lie. 미안해, 되부지. Baby, I'm sorry for the things that I didn't mean. 정말 미안해, 되부지. Yeah, I'll say it in 100 ways. Please believe me when I say I'm sorry. Over and over again, honey, something. 看到你出的眼泪 Yeah, that's on me. 내 사랑하지마. 난 멈추지 않아. 미안해, 되부지. Yeah. Baby, I'm sorry for the things that I didn't mean. Oh, 미안해, 되부지. If I say it in 100 ways, you believe me when I say.
All right, that might be my favorite intro I've seen so far. I was a big fan of the one with all the logos and the graffiti, but that was pretty sick. Welcome back to more Founders Series Swiss Stage. Anthony Squared still being the ones to yap at you. Game number one is in the past between Garf's Goblins and Employment LARPers. Garf Goblins definitely got the better of it through a lot of weird fights that were kind of getting frustrating at times, but it all turned into Garf's Goblins sort of pulling a stomp out of a close early game.
And I really hate that I have to give J-Mac credit for this one, but he said, clearly it isn't a Monday because Lord Garfield is feeling good all game. And honestly, he was cooking, man. This chalk was unkillable, top of the damage charts. And in the last fight, just raid bossed 3 carries and killed 2 of them. Like it was hard to watch. And also looked hard to deal with, even more so.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, like Rendar and Bacon just didn't have the DPS to try and stop Lord Garfield. I don't know what the answer is because it's not as if Chalk is like the end all be all top of the line soul lane. Like I'm sure Lord Garfield could do that on things like the Odin, a possible Fenrir. You know, there are options here, and Chalk is usually not the top of the line, but something has to be considered. And if we're taking things away, the Cuckoo from Dest, the Jing Wei from Drunk Diplomat, like there was a lot of good gameplay here from Garf's Goblins.
I'm with you like 100%. In particular, Dest. The damage might not have been as high as what Ward Garfield was doing, but the amount of times that Whirlwind was just dropped in the middle of a team fight that Lord Garfield was setting up, and everybody would fall to half health on Employment LARPers, and it kind of was like, wait, where did all the damage come from? And a lot of it was just those opening engagements. Same thing with a lot of the ultimates. They were creating so much space for Sunprod and for Lord Garfield to work that it paid its weight in value aside from just plain damage done. So I think the Cuckoo could be a really good answer, and maybe trying to lock down the Hakate as well, just really control the mid lane, which at the moment you're very much able to do, and you might be able to force somebody onto something like a Neath.
Yeah, I mean it's possible, and there's things like, again, we've seen even Anubis get a little bit of play recently.
True.
So there are certainly options to look for, but I think knocking Garf's Goblins off their rhythm is the most important thing. Don't give the people that were popping off the same god twice, because it's just so much easier to do after you've already done it once. Try and grab one of those top pick top band picks for yourself. The Odins, the Fenrirs, I think, or the Bacchus even. There are ways to try and knock you off your rhythm. SK Peso on the Bacchus unfortunately didn't command enough presence for me to warrant first picking that again.
Will Fenrir ever get some play today? Will somebody let him through? Picks and bans will be the way we find out. Employment LARPers on the order side, Garf's Goblins will be on the chaos side for game number 2 with that 1 game advantage up to this point. And I think another point of interest too is the Susano, because it had a notably quiet game with a Ymir ban first. I did not really have that prepared in my brain as the route. I will say that Kill Cam Kenny, I've seen operate under the name Troll Cam Kenny and have a pretty mean Ymir, so worth noting there. But still, the Fenrir is open now for Employment LARPers with the Odin being banned out from Garf's Goblins.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm the Goblins, I'm probably letting both through and then taking either Odin or Fenrir and then Bacchus. But looks like they're just going to ban the Odin. They don't want to deal with the Odin. They're going to give up the Fenrir. The LARPers, if they even have to think about this, I'd be a little concerned. They don't. They're going to first pick that one. And then you give the possible Bacchus Jingwei lock for the Garf's Goblins. You have your choices there. Not a bad look, though. This was what I was talking about, where you got to try and change it up, knock the Goblins off their rhythm, and getting Fenrir for yourself does just that. It will not be the Bacchus. The Garf's Goblins don't want it. They don't care about it. They want to grab Hecate and Jingwei, which I love to see. So we will not see the run back of the Cuckoo for Dest, and we will not see Drunk Diplomat on anything different. He's going to get the Jingwei once again.
From what I've heard, Dest is a big fan of Hecate right now. Who isn't, to be fair? But if Cuckoo is one thing, Hecate is performing as a whole other demon right now on the battleground. And while I really do feel like Bacon had a decent game on the Hecate, I'm very afraid of what Dest can do with Hecate in his hands now against Employment LARPers. The Amaterasu Neath feels like a good response. I feel like you've got a lot of sort of forward momentum into these fights for Employment LARPers, Trelly, but I mean, do you think it's enough into the Jingwei Hecate that now can also be grabbed with a Bacchus?
I mean, so far what I see at the very least is you're forcing Hecate into beads, which is super annoying because you don't want to get beads as a mid laner right now. You want Aegis, you can survive the jungle ganks, but Neath ult is going to be annoying. Amaterasu CC is going to be annoying. Fenrir ult is going to be annoying. If you don't have those, the thing you got to realize is there's a little bit of time between when Open the Gates actually opens and you can teleport away. So that's time when you could be getting stunned, you could be picked up by Fenrir, all those things. So you probably still should go Aegis if you're Hecate, but you got to think about beads a little bit. With that, we're about to see just about a full run back here for Garf's Goblins. They got the Chalk and the Susano once again. Only new so far, of course, is going to be that Hecate, which, I mean, we already know how much damage it can bring. We already know the mobility it can grant to your team. Now, you got to consider things like the Cuckoo from the LARPers. Is it going to have that same effect that Dest was able to have? And as you said, I'm also a little bit worried because Dest was looking good on the Cuckoo. Hecate can just do more, right? So should be a time where you can really show off exactly how much you've played this character and how much you can use that mobility to your team's advantage.
Sunprod remains comfortable on this Asano. I thought maybe we'd see Sunprod forced to grab the Loki or something different, but not going to be the case this time. Athena grabbed up alongside it, so the Athena will certainly be a talking point, but I want to fixate right now on the Bacchus and the Zeus, which are accompanying the Neath Amma, and Fenrir for Employment LARPers. Zeus ADC or Zeus mid? I know you and I have had a million conversations up to this point that we both prefer Zeus mid with that burst damage build, but today in LATAM and the few games I was able to catch, there was a lot of Zeus ADC getting picked still. Was it winning, Malum? It wasn't winning. Yeah. I don't prefer Zeus mid to Zeus ADC. I think it's the only choice. I think if you build Zeus ADC, I'm going to go as far as to say is you're trolling because it's just so good to build intelligent Zeus, man. I don't want to see strength. I don't want to see him crit. I want to see him do the trucker horn and get a double kill. That's what I want. So no, it's not preferred. There is only one option. Until I see someone pop off with ADC Zeus, I'm not going to say it exists. Well, I'm going to use my magic caster powers, pull the trucker horn to send us into game number 2 between Garf's Goblins and Employment LARPers and see who can get the advantage early on. Malum, Trelly, and Doug to bring it to you. And it is... I'm so shocked right now. Thank goodness. I'm so happy. I was prepared for you to mental boom and us to have a Zeus ADC here in game number 2. I was ready to say I'm going to be sick, but I'm not. I'm not going to be sick. Bacon is a knower.
And you know what? I'm just gonna let some tech out for everyone listening right now. If you want to absolutely cook with Zeus and bacon, hey, unfortunately you can't use this because we have a bit of a delay going. But if you get yourself a staff of Mirrodin, you can double detonate, and you absolutely own in a team fight. You have to survive. That's the big issue for Zeus. You have to stay alive to get your detonates off. And if you don't, if you die too quickly, you cannot do it, and it's hard. But you've got Amaterasu, you have Bacchus, you have Fenrir. There's a lot of peel on this LARPer squad. If they can play around bacon, there is still so much damage to be had on this Zeus. But it's all about staying alive, staying in good positioning, and getting as many charges as humanly possible.
I like the drop of the 3 Sunders, as we kind of looked at. The pick up a shell for Brendar could be really important. SK Peso gets taunted away. Looking for the invade on the Sun Prod. That might pay. It's gonna potentially work. It scares SK Peso away, but Sun Prod stopped doing the Pathfinder buff. Now going back, SK Peso back, looking for the invade again. Poked away again by the Athena. Looking back again. Make me say again one more time, I'm coming on the battleground. Still, Pathfinder finally done from Sun Prod. SK Peso could not complete the invade.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That play should have been done 15 seconds ago because you have taunt. There's no world where SK Peso out-confirms you with Sunder if you just taunt him whenever the buff gets to like 250 HP, auto at once, Sunder it, move on with your day. Like, I think they danced a little bit too far, which means that Codester has a pretty big leap in just farm time to Sun Prod. This Fenrir should try to get active somewhere with that leap. You could see Codester went right. Unfortunately, Lord Garfield not available for a gank. He was under tower, so now he goes mid. Do you get the chance to look at Dest? I don't know if he's going to give you that chance.
I'm really curious what this Amaterasu is going to bring from SK Peso, because the Bacchus just wasn't really hitting. It felt like, and we talked about this a lot, where Mink would lead the way, Bacchus would follow, and there wasn't much there. Some danger in the mid lane, could transition onto the Zeus, but able to get away. Post call. I'm just hoping the Amaterasu opens up the door for more initiation for the employment LARPers. I feel like that's where they just needed everything fixed.
And they have that opportunity now. They've been granted one more chance. In a best of 3, you got to show up in game number 2. You're the LARPers because you're already down 1-0. Not a bad start for them by any means. And I do like the switch up here from Garf's Goblins. A pick that we haven't even really talked about because, you know, that ultimate has not become available just yet. Is that global presence that Athena can bring to the table. Kill Cam Kenny. Setup, peel, initiation. Really brings it all. If a flop comes down here, I was going to say, you got to watch out. And Bacchus plays it smart. It does not want to stick around. But decent enough rotation, just letting the Bacchus know, hey, Sun Prod's in the building. He's close by. He can always show up. And now teleports over. Did this get called out? Seems like yes, because immediately SK Peso runs and says, hey, we're going to need to get out of here. But this Susano's Mr. Worldwide at the moment. He is all over the map.
I feel like that's when Sun Prod's at his best as well, when he does travel around like that, but is actually able to get picks and farm from it. Because as I mentioned, sometimes he does that and kind of loses sight of the farm and falls too far behind to make a difference. Opportunity still present in the mid lane, brings back Codester. Some decent damage, but decent more so for the Zeus. The stun was there, needs more, can't find it. Sun Prod backs up, Hecate. Also going to use that beads to keep extra safe. Watch for the Athena, who's now here as well.
He's gonna stab. The taunt comes through. Empty the gate. He comes through the way. Bacon definitely
Later.
Yes. Picks that one up. And this is what I'm talking about, man. Kill Cam Kenny with the rotation. Unfortunately, purple buff invade does not go the way of Garf's Goblins. But man, that is clean. That's the initiation that we were missing in game number 1. It's just an easy way to start off the Hecate ultimate. We saw a couple times where Bacon just threw it out to try and get a pull. You don't have to think about it when you have an Athena taunt.
Athena's been one of my favorite characters to see get picked up so far in SMITE 2. I feel like she's finding just a little bit less popularity in comparison to... We've seen the Ymir perform so well in the hands of players like Genetics, as you would expect. The Bacchus obviously has been a huge talking point. Wrong You put on a great performance last weekend on the Bacchus. But Athena just brings a lot right now to fights. And you mentioned it, but the ultimate is so significant. And if you combine it with that... If you can find it as an answer to a World Weaver, you can really help save some fights. And that might need to be the case for Garf's Goblins if Brendar becomes a bit of an ult bot from this duo lane.
I thought you were gonna say Athena's been one of your favorite characters to play in Smite 2.
No,
And just stop
I'm
the
so
phrase
I'm
there.
so bad at support.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, like, weird that you would just announce your cringe like that to the whole world. Like, there's no way Athena's your favorite god right now, man. There's a lot. They're like the new god. Like Mordred and Hecate are at the top of my list personally. But
Yeah,
I get what
Mordred's
you're
at mine
saying.
too, for sure.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Athena has been out of the meta, at least in comp, just because there is a very easy counter. And if any of you guys are like, how do you counter Athena? I'll tell you, stick
Notepads out.
Yeah, first of all, you blink her taunt and just there is no initiation anymore. I'm behind you. Second of all, fight where Athena is, not where she's going, right? Where she ults to, that's a problem. Now it's a 1 min advantage we didn't expect. She gave a shield, she does damage. If we fight where Athena is, she doesn't really have an ultimate anymore, right? She's already used it. Codester is not doing that. He's fighting with Athena. I tried to bail, right call. You don't want to stick around at that point, but if you just run at Athena and make sure she doesn't like ult to somewhere where you just fight with her, you can pretty much negate that ult as a defensive tool and make her leave, and that's not as good.
Complete opposite of game number 1. Gold Fury's up. Let's pull it early on. There's the Ragnarok. Typhoon 2. Lots of damage. Finds the way past. Codester will go down. SK Peso gets the Gold Fury. Is there more picks to be had for Garf's Goblins? Not quite. SK Peso turns the corner. Neith's still in a bit of trouble. Drunk Diplomat gets ahead. The taunt should be up in a couple seconds. Will that be in time? The ult doesn't find it from Bacon. This is a tough look, but SK Peso, he's gone. The World Weaver finds Kill Cam Kenny in the tower, but the dash is good to get away.
Still around though, no rotation from Bacon. He's been stuck. A little bit of damage coming the way. You can actually see Brendar surging forward. And actually, look at this. Bacon's fighting a 1v1 in the jungle as well. Zeus, do you have the detonate? Already used it. Looks like Death gets to get out scot-free. But I mean, Bacon was a little tardy to the party there. Tried to show up later, and that late rotation doesn't help much.
You mentioned the staff of Mirrodin, but because we haven't seen too many Zeus mid lanes, I want to call attention and hear your thoughts. We're getting more familiar with power spikes of characters like the Kukulkan, but for Zeus, what are we looking for? This might have to wait. SK Peso?
Oh no,
Maybe the
I'm
focus?
talking about the build. I think SK Peso's fine. I see what Bacon ended up building.
Titans crunch.
I was excited. I was like, oh, he's a knower. He knows about Zeus. He's gonna go Gemma Focus into, you know, I like Deso, Gemma Focus, Cosmic Horror, Mirrodin, Reaver, Obshar. Like, there's just so many ways you can build Zeus right now.
Similar to what we're seeing on Hecate.
If we're not seeing Mirrodin, then Bacon's a non-knower, and that's okay. You know, it's okay to be a non-knower. I like.
So we're on knower watch.
Yeah, I want to see as much damage as possible, and if you're playing Zeus, that's probably the reason. Drunk Diplomat still trying to go for the 1v1. Brendar doesn't like it, and we got a big dog in mid lane. Didn't bite anyone though.
Big dog just walking around. A taunt onto Bacon. A little bit of damage, but not enough. Open the gates. Spreads them. They split like cockroaches. No interest. They're like, whoa, whoa,
whoa. They were definitely open. Say what you want about the gates. They were open. No one was inside of them, unfortunately. Bacon, that's the other benefit of Zeus, is that extra movement speed can catch you off guard. If the Thunderclap gets used, Sunprot on the way. Guess what? So is Athena. Bacchus, you chose the wrong time to flop, and you're gonna get dropped. Sunprot picks up the first kill of the game. 1-0-2, and of course the Warhorn back into Garf's Goblins' favor. Fortunately for the LARPers, not on the board yet. Cannot connect, cannot find a kill. Doesn't stop them from trying. Queen Naga being pulled over in duo. Drunk Diplomat very keenly aware, but look at this. This is the full collapse. This has to be a kill.
Drunk Diplomat was not the only knower. The World Weaver was also one. Drunk Diplomat with the dash, followed up. Well, Aegis for good measure, but go down. Meanwhile, Sunprod finding a pick onto Bacon with the help of Athena and Hecate. So first kill for the Employment LARPers, and it's definitely one they needed. A bit of a vibe shift the closer we get to 10 minutes, but gold still heavily favoring the side of Garf's Goblins.
Yeah, I think that needed to happen. I mean, Drunk Diplomat overstayed his welcome a bit. 1v2 feels confident, but did not realize the wraparound was happening. All the while, Bacon was also getting the wraparound. A little bit of aggression in the mid lane. Codester. Remember, that Ragnarok didn't really connect on anyone, possibly just using it for the CC immunity. But do we see any more aggression out of Codester? Like, you're going Transcendence, which is just an odd choice because you usually want just an item that's going to get you come out swinging. Avenging Blade arguably the best item on Fenrir, like fully stacks off of Brutalize. Every tick of Brutalize gets an auto attack essentially. So that's usually the start, but I guess if you want Transcendence, you want a little bit more ability damage, maybe you pick up Avenging Blade later on, could be the call. But it just looks to me like the LARPers are playing for late game, and considering how this game has started, that's wishful thinking, right? That you're going to be able to slow down the snowball that the Garf's Goblins have created.
SK Peso was hanging out in the jungle of Garf's Goblins. They tried to make SK Peso pay for it. It does pay in the form of Dazzling Offensive, which is now off the board for the Employment LARPers with a Gold Fury looming. That could be big to already have out for sure.
I'm going to see if the Gold Fury started up. It will be. Garf's Goblins are the ones who are after it. You do have box on the left side of the map, but Lord Garfield already in the back line playing zone duty. They dropped the Fury. They don't even care about it anymore. They want to fight.
They just want the blood from it. A dash onto SK Peso almost happened. Now Garf's Goblins will walk back to the goal, but they're going to run into the big dog. A Ragnarok out, won't find anybody on the bite. Open the gates, misses as well. There's the Zeus Soul. Will that be enough? As Bacon's just getting run down by Garf's Goblins and will be the one to fall. The 6th total kill for the Chaos side. The Employment LARPers just, I feel like they missed so many opportunities right there, especially when Garf's Goblins walked away as Gold Fury still being pulled and SK Peso almost still in danger.
Yeah, almost. Not quite. Fury will drop. Rocket still has not grabbed that tier 1 tower, which would definitely help out for the goal. Looks like that will be the call. Remember, there was no rotation. I think that was the right call. I think that Fury was always going to drop. Unfortunately, the LARPers sort of went for a half defense, which, in my opinion, you send SK Peso to go in for the steal and everyone else farms. I think that's the correct call in this situation. The gold lead is not like insurmountable, but if your Bacchus is not rotating, you don't want to take a 4v5 when you're already behind. It's just not going to go well. So that wasn't the case, though. They did end up attempting to go in for the steal. SK Peso taunted back, but not enough damage to find the kill. I need to see Dest land some of these open the gates, though. That's what I'm looking for. I've seen 2 Hecate ults off the mark. You have so much setup for it. Just wait for the CC.
I think that's a big problem. Dest is trying to be the superhero play with it and take the open shot of open the gates. And as you said, like, if you don't have the setup, it's just more risky.
It's
where if you follow up, it should be so good.
It's the equivalent of like max ranging Vulcan ult when you don't have to. You know, you can just go for like the smaller ult that's quicker. It's just very big circle that everyone can see and has time to walk out of unless you have setup. So I understand wanting to throw it out a bit. Like I'm one to just toss it over the wall to see what happens. But when you have this much lockdown from a Chalk, from a Susano, from the Athena with an insta-taunt, I think you just sit back for a little bit. Patience is part of Hecate's kit, in my opinion.
Patience and communication, and a bit of trust, too. Earlier, you were talking a lot about having trust in your teammate when we saw Sunprod dive on the Susano and the Kakolkano go wide left. You got to just have trust of hearing, I'm going to taunt, and saying, all right, I'm ready to ult right as you're going for the taunt, as opposed to trying to be too reactionary. This time, it'll bring back Bacon, but it brings back Bacon in a problematic sense. Almost trouble for Dest. Meanwhile, Coaster will pick up Kill Cam Kenny. Sunprod rotating over. Will that be a pick onto Bacon? No, going to turn and go the other way. I thought maybe we'd see an aggressive dive, but not quite this time.
Look at Drunk Diplomat, man. Look how deep he is in the enemy jungle. Bro's playing like an assassin. Pyromancer started up by the LARPers. SK Peso is dying to the objective. And Garfield didn't even feel brutalized, man. This Chalk is already as tanky as he was last game, and he's 2 items in. I really love this Actum item that Garfield's picked up, by the way. That Phoenix Feather. Phoenixes in lore, they can die and like revive. This is kind of that same situation, reminiscent of old Bracer. It can like redo your HP if you lose a lot of it. That's kind of the idea behind the active item. So if you see Lord Garfield go in and then he just like insta regens a lot of his HP, that was his Phoenix Feather. It's an active item. Can't use it all the time, but can definitely use it when you're tanking up this much damage.
And that Phoenix Feather, like I said, one of my favorite items in the game currently. That's 300 HP plus 30% of your missing HP, which is pretty significant, especially when you're on a Chalk and you're building towards that way of having even more health too. It works out great. Coaster trying to make a great gank. Will at least force the ultimate out for Drunk Diplomat, but will not find anything more than that.
Yeah, and for now, remember the Pyromancer started up for a second by SK Pace. So the LARPers still trying to get aggressive whenever possible. Take a look at the gold deficit though, Malum. It has been shrinking up. I mean, just by nature. Bach is staying over in solo lane. Brendar's been over in left lane. There has been a ton of farming. And once again, Sun Prod falling behind in the jungle. Oatstar has a 3-level lead over Sun Prod at the moment.
Sunprod showing to be a jungler who really needs to be fighting to keep up in farm, but that hasn't been there as much in team fights. Maybe there's one lurking. Codester going for the escape, and will get away with it. SK Peso used the dazzling offensive to sort of fend off Garf's Goblins, and it worked out. But where will they go next? Mid-tier 1 will go down the way of LARPers soon, but not quite yet. Sunprod finds Bacon. The pull in, the ult in response will keep Bacon safe for the time being. Meanwhile, Gold Fury getting grabbed by Garf's Goblins. Employment LARPers are trying to answer, but they've got no clean way in. SK Peso is getting poked, just walking near it so far. Has shield charge, getting closer, but Killcam Kenny gets it, and the Storm Call will keep SK Peso away.
Yep, great call by the LARPers. Just try and grab the consolation prize. Sunprod steps forward, uses the beads to avoid Ragnarok. Is there a steal attempt? No, because the objective has been dropped. Remember, Bacon already dropped Lightning Storm defensively. If anything, there's more aggression. I saw Killcam Kenny ult in. Drunk Diplomat also wants a 1v1, but he's losing. Gotta juke the airstrike. Does Brenda have the damage?
Has the World Weaver up. Oh, man. Oh, a nice Aegis, though. We'll catch it in time. Meanwhile, Lord Garfield runs at the Zeus, takes out the Bacon. Sunprod gets brought down by Mink. And we're just not done fighting anywhere on the map. Let the blood flow. Mink Stinkus with a 2-man knockup. That opens opportunity for Codester to go in and find great damage with the help of SK Peso to bring them down. Garfield standing tall, though, and won't let them kill him.
Won't back down. Does not care, stepping forward like it's nothing. SK Peso in a little bit of trouble, but the axe should not do enough. SK Peso lives to see another day. By the way, I mean, we saw Bacon play that flawlessly, where Sunprod goes for the initiation. You drop your ult, you do damage, you retreat. But looking at the way Bacon's building, he's going so tanky. Like, your defense is your damage. Your defense is not, you know, what you build. So unfortunately, Bacon sitting at 0-4 now has been caught out of position a fair bit. And when he does drop the Lightning Storm, it's just not that much of a threat. This is going to take a while before this Zeus can actually hit, you know, like a Zeus can. Whereas we've seen Dest, Book of Thoughts, Gem of Focus, Cosmic Horror. The Hakate is swinging. The Hakate has arrived, where Bacon is still trying to get that itemization online to do that same level of damage.
Dash taunt, but as you mentioned, Bacon really tanky, so tough to bring down. And everyone on Employment LARPers has some form of tankiness, really, aside from Brendar up to this point. Codester going more hybrid, which that we've seen a lot in the jungle, but Bacon's got it. Of course, Mink Stinkus and SK Peso will, so it leaves the damage on the shoulders of Brendar, who hasn't rotated all too much.
SK Peso in a little bit of trouble, but he's fast. That Amaterasu movement speed certainly will help you out. Ancient Fury still not spawned in quite yet. I mean, we're at a bit of a slow point in the game, Malm, where there's not much to fight over. Towers are gone, so no one really feels safe in their lanes. So everyone's just roaming. Pyromancer has been started up a few times, and if anything, Sunprod is actually not trading that well with Brendar. It seemed for a second like Neith was caught out, but you don't want to step up to the double weave. All the while, the LARPers are still trying to pull this Pyromancer. Finally an engage.
Maybe the ults will be enough. Bacon drops one, but is the damage going to be there? Can they find anything? SK Peso will take out Dest. Athena retreats, has Lord Garfield by their side. Garf's Goblins just could not make that fight work the same way we've seen, so the LARPers will pull the Pyromancer. Sunprod is on the way. Garfield stepping up as well. We know that Chalk is not afraid to dive this fight, but Sunprod's openings are fewer. This Chalk's going to contest. Can the LARPers stop it? The Pyromancer goes to Garf's Goblins there. Are you kidding? Are you kidding me?
I mean, Sunprod had a beautiful knockup. Garfield gets the kill on SK Peso and is able to pick up the Runic Bomb. Gives it over to Killcam Kenny. Why not? Taunt on a Bacon. Do you have the damage on? Let's find out. He's good, but no, not enough cooldowns. Even with the Sunder from Killcam Kenny, Bacon lives to see another day. Hey, that's why you build the extra tank stats. Rendar should be able to just run out of this one, but just goes to show how much the Jingwei auto attacks are swinging for the time being. I mean, it just seems like whenever the LARPers have a good play like that, it gets followed up with something disastrous, and unfortunately,
Every time.
you would have preferred to have the runic bomb in that situation. You would have preferred to get SK Peso out of trouble. None of that occurs, and now Ancient Fury spawned in. You still have to contest with the Sunders, but now there's a runic bomb in pocket for Kill Cam Kenny. It gets even more difficult to try to kill.
20 minutes, 5-9. Let's see how many kills get added in the fight that will consume this Ancient Theory area. It breaks down early. Codester on Dest, but Dest gets away thanks to the gates. Now Bacon, the one in trouble, pulled back by Sunprod and goes down to Brendar. Lord Garfield gonna return it right back and clean up that kill onto Bacon. The Athena ult to keep Sunprod safe. The land down. They're gonna need a taunt. The knockup, not there. Sunprod gets a dash off. Or Garfield, still healthy, but now alone. This might be a fight that Chalk can handle if he so chooses.
I mean, Lord Garfield has not died yet this set. If I had faith in anyone that isn't going to die, I would say it is the Chalk. Ancient Fury started up. Here comes Code. So this Fenrir has some good damage, but Garfield goes in anyway. He's not done. Malum, he's trying to defend this all on his own, and it's kind of working.
Dude wants lasagna and fears no god. Lord Garfield steps up and the Goblins are there for backup, and now the damage is finding its way on to the employment LARPers. SK Peso sent to the grayscale. The Garf's Goblins are going to pick up the Ancient Fury. Can the LARPers get there in time to take it back? Gonna be close, but they cannot do it. Gold Fury, Ancient Fury for Garf's Goblins, their third one in total, to back up their 11 kills and their 57,000 gold to the 53,000 of employment LARPers.
Here's what I'm going to say on that. First of all, Bacon has dropped ult on the wave. Second of all, we're just assuming that Lord Garfield is referring to the cat, but what if his last name's just like Garfield, you know? Like, you know, like what if his name, what if we just, we don't know that he hates Mondays and loves lasagna, but we do know that he loves fragging and getting into the back line and being unkillable. That Chalk, oh my goodness, what was, hold on, Power Spike. Drunk Diplomat definitely just finished an item, and I'm thinking it was Deathbringer. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Take a look at Jingwei's build. The last time he traded with Brendar, it did not look like that. Brendar learned the hard way that Jingwei has come online. The Jingwei has 4 full items, and the damage has been completed. This tower definitely belongs to Drunk Diplomat. Fire Giant has become an immense possibility here for Garf's Goblins. They've got 6k in pocket, and they have the lead. I'm thinking they've got everything they need. First to level 20, also Drunk Diplomat.
Charlie, Bacon continuing with this build of being tanky. Helm of Radiance picked up 60 int, 25 physical protection, and you gain 5 physical protections for 6 seconds, up to 5 times. I mean, at a certain point, the Zeus is a walking tank, but you need that damage.
I mean, he's the most deaths on his team, and he still can't provide the damage. It's not the way to play Zeus. I think if you're gonna play him, it's Glass Cannon. You're gonna die, but you're gonna get off damage as well. A little bit of trouble. Beautiful pull back. SK Peso in some trouble. Can you find the last hit, though? Seems like no. Either way, there's even more scrapping happening in the jungle. Sunprod not gonna get picked up immediately. If anything, no, they might try to turn this.
The scariest thing to fight as a Fenrir might be an Athena ultimate. Won't matter. Drunk Diplomat takes out Mink. Now the step up for Garf's Goblins. Garfield sees 3 and says, all right, boys, we're going. Bacon caught in no man's land. Will that tankiness matter this time? It looks like it will not. And Bacon goes down. The 13th kill for Garf's Goblins. Garfield's just going to back up Brendar. Codester might be the only chance for an objective steal here. SK Peso, maybe, but they can just turn.
Unfortunately, SK Peso gets pulled. His dash definitely gets blocked now.
Who's next?
Brendar walking forward, finds the kill with Coaster. This Fenrir has some room to play. You have the cooldowns. Lord Garfield's not going to let you use them. And he'll go down. It took a minute. Coaster finally found his end. And Pyromancer started up. My goodness, that's a rampage. Certainly did. 5-0 and 5 for the Chalk. And it doesn't seem like he's slowing down anytime soon, Malum. Go ahead and grab that runic bomb. Still no Fire Giant being looked at, but I mean, when you're Garf's Goblins, you can do no wrong. You got time.
I'm trying to wrap my head around these last few fights. It feels like Lord Garfield's unkillable. I mean, that's, you know,
That much we know.
that's pretty obvious. Bacon's very killable. We also know that much, to be sure. And it feels like there's not enough in the middle for the employment LARPers to have room to work. In every fight, it just feels like they're either their damage is coming too late or too early, and they just get lost in this middle chunk of Garf's Goblins being like, oh, we can just W key at you or hold forward on our thumbstick. Cool, we'll do that.
They definitely attempt to. Ancient Fury spawning back up again here soon. It's like, I really do think you need to go in a little bit quicker towards the fire giant. Garf's Goblins have the lead. They can do almost no wrong at this point, but they're not going in for the fire giant, so they keep giving room for the LARPers to get, you know, some extra itemization, some relics, some damage. Finally, another grouping over and left. Keep your eyes on Kill Cam Kenny. The taunt, dash taunt, all good ways to start a fight, and Lord Garfield still is going to walk into the carries with not a care in the world. Ancient Fury started up. Looks like it's being done. Is the call to go in for fire giant, though? This is what I was talking about last game, Malum. Finally, this play gets... Let's see if it works out for him.
Was it made too late? Garfield on the way. Bacon's a bit late as well, so the LARPers have to turn and pivot to a fight, kind of out of nowhere. The storm call is dropped, and Lord Garfield's chasing them away. Codester getting run at by Sunprod, almost caught in the gates. The employment LARPers are just having to retreat, but there's some great CC, finds 3. Talisman a bit late. Bacon able to find a kill thanks to it, but Drunk Diplomat is still throwing autos in the mid lane. Finds 1, can dash over, 4 more. Garfield's got Bacon, and once again, a fight blows up in the middle of the fight for employment LARPers. That'll be the death of Brendar. SK Peso back to base with Codester, and the Goblins continue to surge.
Tier 1 tower already gone. Tier 2 and afterthought. Codester has to try and take the wave, try and find a kill, because it might be the Titan that Garf's Goblins are after. They have a runic bomb and they have damage. Unfortunately, Codester did not have enough to find a kill on the Kill Cam Kenny, and now the Titan is what the Goblins are after.
They've got Bomb, they got Queen Naga buff, they've got jobs too. Garf's Goblins bring it to the employment LARPers, and at the end, SK Peso can only watch a 2-0 for Garf's Goblins.
They are so employed, Malum. They are
So employed! They get paychecks!
employed. 0 deaths for Garfield. We don't know if he's a giant cat, but we do know that he knows how to play chalk on the battleground.
He's got a job.
Wash. I mean, he's employed, and he was scary. I would not want to be. I understand why Bacon built tanky, because he knew I'm going to be running down, get ran down by that guy, and I have to try and survive some way. And unfortunately, the tank build was not enough. And still, again, no one could kill Garfield, man. Like, I'm not sure if that's the main thing to focus on, but it didn't help.
It really didn't. If you just have a chalk endlessly walking at you, it really doesn't help or feel good, and it sets up room for Sunprod to perform, as we saw. Of course, Dest and Drunk Diplomat in that last fight in particular, and of course, shout out to the taunts too. But Trilly, looking at stats page, I mean, thankfully for the employment LARPers, they're not out. This was just the first round of Swiss. They got a lot of rounds of Swiss to go before they have to start filling out applications. What jumps out at you as things to really zoom in on for these stats?
I mean, I think they were in a very big lack of just DPS here. You can only have a chalk running you down like that when you don't have enough damage from your damage dealers, right? I mean, Lord Garfield did 35,000 damage, and I think having a true auto attack carry and something like a Jingwei, a Cern on her can certainly help shred through that. And then, of course, like a magical damage dealer with Soul Reaver, Obsidian Shard, Rod of Tahuti. Those are the things that make a chalk's life difficult, and those did not exist here. So that to me is the biggest issue. You can't be having 6-0, 35k damage chalk at the end of the game. But there was a lot that the LARPers did that I did enjoy. I mean, they pulled objectives when they were behind just to try and make something happen. They still went in for invades, things like that. And I think that shows a lack of fear that you need to have in a league like this. You can't just... And also, just because you went down 0-1 in Swiss does not mean that you get, you know, a heavy head or you get sad or anything like that.
Totally not.
You have plenty more chances to try and jump back. You just got to make the changes. And I think draft builds are... one of the first places to look at for sure.
play back the tape, learn, move forward, and
Mhm.
moving forward. Let's look at the bracket and kind of where you can go through. We've got our 2-0s so far. Lots of 2-0s today for both EMEA and North America. And while, we'll have to wait and see who gets matched up against who, taking a look at the Swiss, we get a good idea of sort of what to expect the further along we move. And I really like the point you brought up of there's a long time to go, because I look at teams like Look Within, like Employment LARPers, and even Basket of E-Kittens for that matter, who went down 2-0 to Cowabunga, a team I know a lot of people are keeping a close eye on and following closely, big fans of. There's so much time throughout these brackets. There's 3-0s aplenty. There's a lot of time for teams to just get better and better, and that includes for the teams that win. Garf's Goblins looked great today, but they could look even better moving forward. And of course, before we do stop looking at Swiss brackets, let's peep in at the EMEA and see kind of what's going on with that as well, and look at schedules moving forward. Tomorrow starts off with a lot of it, and Project Win versus Titans Reloaded. We saw it today. That was a pretty fun one, but Bill's Goons and Yodi Gang, that was a match.
Absolutely. I mean, and that's the thing. You get to see a lot of good Smite. You get to see a lot of different play styles clashing as well. Some teams like to play for late game. Some teams like to invade early. Some teams, just play good throughout. And you can take bits and pieces of every match you watch and just learn. I think that's what is the best thing about Swiss is you have a lot of chances if you don't have a great first round. Maybe you didn't like the matchup. Maybe you just didn't like your draft. You have so many different chances to try and come back with a new strategy. So I would definitely never count myself out in a situation like this, but there are still good, solid matchups like you just mentioned. That there's like we're going to 3, like we're having back
Yeah.
and forth. Like it's just an exciting time to be a Smite fan.
Tomorrow we get to check out Smoke Break and Giovanna Giorgio as well. Worth mentioning. Got to see how Adapting performs in Swiss stage with the rest of the boys. But let's look at North America's schedule to see what's going on tomorrow. Because boy, is there a game that I think a lot of people might have their eyes on, Trelly, given recent events. Scrumptious versus Mr. Play-by-Play at 3 p.m. 5 p.m. we'll have Fun Havers versus Borscht. I'm very curious how that 3 p.m. game is going to shape up.
Yeah, I really like the Fun Havers versus Borscht as well. We did just watch a lot of good Smite, and there is still more good Smite ahead, and that's got to be exciting for everyone. And again, if you do see a matchup that you want to see, like, oh man, I'm a big fan of PBM or Scream, and Team of 5Ms is playing, but it's off air, they're still going to stream their POVs most likely, so watch out for that. And if you don't get to watch it there, you will certainly get the recap or some clips on Smite Too Long Didn't Watch every Friday. So there is plenty of more Smite content and ways to consume it, that you can find elsewhere. There's just so much Smite to watch. We can't possibly hit it all here.
So much Smite, and those VODs for Too Long Didn't Watch are also available on Smite VOD, as are all the games. So if you want to take looks and catch things up, Smite Pro has them. We drop information everywhere. You can't really miss content related to Smite Esports, and we can't get enough of it right now. But for today, for Smite 2 Esports, that's all we've got, with tomorrow on the horizon. So for Malum, Trelly, everybody who worked hard today, and thanks to all the players, you be safe, the viewer, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Made in Georgia.
I got this feeling inside that I can't put aside because I want you. Although I thought I was fine when I left you behind, I know I loved you.